We're back with the League of the Genuine Conversations with me, your host, Fred Muwema, the only show on the planet which discusses the important but often ignored subject of counterfeits. As always, we have a special guest to help us discuss and unpack and understand the subject of the menace of counterfeits. The purpose of this show is to give information to you, the consumer, because we believe that an informed consumer is an empowered consumer to fight counterfeits. Join me in welcoming Gloria Nagami. Gloria Nagami is a lawyer working with this law firm, Muwema and Co. But she stands out for being somebody who has worked closely with the anti-counterfeit network. So today, Gloria will be explaining your perspectives and what it is you understand. So you're welcome.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Mani.
Okay. Gloria, as a practicing lawyer, a young lawyer who has a bright future waiting ahead of you, how are counterfeits a threat to this future that you see now that you've understood the world of counterfeits? How do they pose a threat?
Well, as a young lawyer, first of all, I didn't know about this world of counterfeits when I had just joined the law firm. I used to think of, okay, there are fake products on the market, and so what? Probably I'm not using them, or if I am, I don't know their effects. But after joining the law firm and also getting exposed...
3 years now?
3 years, yes. And also getting exposed to the work that SCN is doing, I got to know the dangers of counterfeiting. First of all, the effects they have on our health. And most of the counterfeit products on the market have carcinogens, the things we consume, which... The
viewer wants to know what are carcinogens, what's wrong with them. They sound nice.
They lead to cancer, they cause cancer, basically. And these are the dangers I was not aware of before. And also, as a lawyer who has been practicing intellectual property, I got to know that counterfeiting affects the brand owners and their businesses, their innovations, and also coming up with new ideas. So these are the things I got to learn as I interacted with SCN and intellectual property rights. And also the other thing that I stopped taking for granted is that counterfeiting is an offense. I did not know that before. Also, through school we learned, yes, you protect the intellectual property owners' rights, but then that is it, protect them. But now I'm seeing that there's a different dimension to all this. These people are criminals. They are leading to the death of very many people. I've also had an opportunity to interact with the Uganda Cancer Institute, and the numbers are always growing, especially
you blame that on
children.
Counterfeits, the increasing cases?
Yes. Consuming counterfeits and also the adverse effects that they bring to the individuals.
You had in my opening statement, I said the subject of counterfeits, the important but often ignored subject of counterfeits. Is that statement correct?
Very much so. I'm also one of those people who had been ignoring these counterfeits. But also, I would say the people mandated to protect the consumers, protect us in the country, have also not been taking a keen eye, have not been looking at counterfeiting as a problem. But I'm seeing that this dynamic is now changing as we keep on interacting with them.
And why do you think this important subject is ignored, despite all the negative effects to our wealth and our health? What do you think is lacking? We don't love ourselves enough, or what?
No, I think the lack of knowledge, first of all, awareness about these dangers that we've just talked about. People do not know at all. So if we educate the people, if we educate the public, the stakeholders, all stakeholders involved, and we tell them, look, this is what counterfeiting is, these are the dangers and all that, probably their mindset will keep on shifting and then bringing counterfeiting topic to the core.
Gloria, you know very well that one of the biggest drivers of counterfeiting is affordability. Poverty is affordable. This is, I can only afford that. Is poverty, is affordability, according to you, now that you have been in this space for some time, is it a good reason to consume counterfeits with its adverse effects?
It's not a good reason, but I would say it is a valid reason.
It is a valid reason.
It is a valid reason because it's a factor, not an excuse. It is a factor that is driving counterfeiting. I would give an example of even myself. Before I got to know about these dangers, I would go and compare and say, this one is cheaper than the other product. I'll give an example, valid, a real life example.
Mm-hmm.
I used to buy products for my face. I have an acne prone skin, susceptible to getting acne. So I have a routine that is curated to help this. You cleanse, you then treat with serum, then you moisturize, then during the daytime you add your sunscreen. But then these products were
fake,
expensive. At first they were expensive, my normal routine. But then one time I was moving around downtown a certain shop and I found the products. I'm like, oh wow, well,
a duplicate.
This is more affordable. Let me buy. And I actually bought them, the entire set. And I went home and the reaction was terrible.
Your skin broke out completely.
Broke out badly. And I had to then go back and treat slowly by slowly.
It took you months, actually.
Months. It was actually the whole of lockdown. I was clearing the acne. So from then I learned a very big lesson about this.
In light of this experience, because you have first-hand experience,
yes,
that you try to substitute the genuine, authentic product with a fake, you take a whole year with a broken skin. Do we still call price a valid reason for going for dangerous goods?
Not necessarily. We had said affordable. Okay.
Yeah, price. It's still the same thing.
It's still the same thing.
Yes.
Now that I have this knowledge, I wouldn't say, but most people will also still think the way I did back then.
And doesn't that lead to the next element in Dankani, which is the concealed danger?
Mm-hmm.
If you had known that these skin creams that you are going to use would make your skin to break out for a whole year, you wouldn't have bought.
I wouldn't have bought.
So don't you think that most people are consuming counterfeits because they don't know the dangers? The dangers are not visible. Concealed danger, what role does it play?
They are not visible at all because you only know that you consume the fake. Most people only know they consume the fake after realizing the effects on them. After probably I've used the whole tin of the moisturizer, then I broke out and I'm like, oh wait a minute, the other tin did not do this, but this one did. Then I bring out and compare. And also through my interactions, we went to the community somewhere in Bale, Eastern Uganda, through a project. Most of the farmers that we spoke to, the concealed danger appeared way after they had bought these fake chemical agricultural inputs. Yeah. And these agricultural inputs were put in their gardens. They thought they would get, the seeds didn't germinate. They had injected a lot of money, close to 5 million shillings, one of the farmers, others 10 acres of tomatoes, nothing appeared. So there are very many concealed dangers on top of our health, on top of also the environment. So there are very, very many concealed dangers in counterfeiting.
So according to you, therefore, in Dankani, what do you think from your experience and what you have seen is the most important factor pushing people to consume these counterfeits?
Well, according to me, I would think it's differentiation or the lack thereof of differentiation. Because if you put for me a genuine phone here and then you put for me a fake one here, and
like how these caps look,
how these caps are, and one is fake,
you can't know if one is fake or one is genuine.
You can't know, and the naked eye cannot tell me right now. So from there I would think that many people cannot tell the difference. When still my interactions with those respondents, the thing that came out strongly was I cannot tell the difference. Even if I look at it, I cannot tell. But also one thing I've also learned is that I should take the initiative. I've taken the initiative from my experience then to sort of see the difference or try to tell the difference.
But in the case of the cream for your skin,
yes,
you could actually tell the difference because you went downtown, bought a cream.
The only difference that could tell me was the price. I was like, oh, maybe that one is because they are uptown. She's uptown, she's charging on her rent and all that, probably. That's why. And this one's price is okay. Okay.
So the product looked exactly like the genuine.
Yes. I actually asked the man, where do you get these things from? He said, dear, don't worry. I'm like, are they, don't worry. And then I just bought it.
And after your skin broke out, I am sure you must have marched straight to the guy and told him, you told me not to worry, see how I look like. Did you do that?
I just texted on WhatsApp because at that point then we were not moving around.
In the lockdown.
Texted, yes. It's like, no, my things are okay. That was the only response.
And he blamed you for having a bad skin. It's your skin which is reacting.
No, that's where we ended because I could not deal with that anymore. Also, the emotional toll it was taking. My face is breaking out. What am I doing wrong? Or what should I do better? And
but then don't you think, Gloria, because for you, you're a lawyer, you get such an experience. There are so many lay people out there who don't know even where to start going. Don't you think the reaction, the attitude of we consumers in many ways is promoting counterfeits? We are not pushing back. We are not asking for accountability. We are not taking action. Do you see some blame on us as consumers? We let these guys get away with murder? Not
necessarily blame the consumers, but we are not empowered. Most of us are not empowered at all. Through knowing where to go and report, the first point of complaint would be back to that person where you bought the product. And the person will just tell you, me, that's what I sold and those are the things I sell. So you go back home and just wallow in
your loss.
Yes, take your loss.
Plus you I'm sure, how much was the cream? The one you bought, that set?
They're usually 55,000, then 60, the serum 85,000 shillings.
No, I'm saying this set you bought from the fake set, how much was it in total?
250.
250,000.
Yes.
How much did you spend on your treatment?
A lot, I can't even count.
1 million? 2 million?
I've used a lot of money to clear my skin. Close to
2-3 million.
Yes, I would say.
Treatment
and consulting other people, then finally going to consult a doctor to see what's really wrong with your face.
So for 250,000 shillings, it sets you back 3 million shillings to treat yourself and get back to normal. So you can see it is
over a long period of time.
What is that? 500%, 1,000%. So this is the effect of counterfeits on us. But I am saying we, the consumers, having...
I think it's time for the consumer to rise up, to stand up and come. Either hold, make sure that this, I don't know how we need to go about it, but make sure the brand owners also communicate these things to us. And also a demand for accountability from the
so you should
brand
have gone
owners
to the police, for example,
or the stakeholders.
Report a case to the police. Let this guy at least come and make a statement.
By then I didn't know I should hold these people accountable. Though I was a lawyer, I was not exposed. That's what I'm saying, Mr. Muwema.
So you're saying even lawyers are victims,
themselves,
they don't know.
Actually, another example, still from the Eastern region, the research we did, interacted with the magistrate. But then he's actually said that he experienced losses, but he didn't go anywhere.
Those were passion fruits.
Yes, the passion fruits case. But he didn't go and report anywhere. And he says if him, an educated man like him, did not go and report anywhere, how do we think the Wananchi is going to react after encountering such a loss? So it seems
we, the consumers, are voluntarily accepting counterfeits in our lives to destroy us and harm us, and we are doing nothing.
Now that ACN is talking about this issue, it should also come up with mechanisms to empower the consumer. Tell them this is where you're going to go and report. communicate excerpts, show them on social media wherever
We
it's
have
possible.
brought you Gloria. Empower the consumer as we take
I
a
think-
break. What is your message to the consumer?
Yeah.
Empower them on
First of all,
counterfeits.
consumers need to know that anyone who sells a counterfeit to you is committing an offense.
Is
You
a
can
criminal.
go and report them to the police, and then police can take it up from there.
Okay, let's take a break. We're back with the second segment. This is the League of the Genuine. We are here with the Council Gloria Nagami. Gloria, you have just said that consumers must wake up and do their part and report. Some people have been saying, but we have no law. The law is not there. So even if you tell the consumers to report, there is no supporting the legal framework. What do you say to that?
I would say there is a law for now that we've been
First
using.
of all, are there laws or there is a law?
There are laws in the different sectors, in agriculture and the communication, telecommunications. But for now, we also have the Trademarks Act of 2010. And this is what we've been using. I've actually used it as a lawyer prosecuting some of these counterfeiters. There's sections in there that provide for people who forge trademarks or who counterfeit trademarks, who falsely apply a registered trademark to their fake goods. These people can be brought
This law
to
you are
account.
saying has been there since 2010.
Yes.
That is now 13 years.
Yes.
So we've been having a law. And the punishments, how are they like
The
under those laws?
punishments are 2 million shillings, around there, but they don't exceed 2 million shillings. And also
And the
imprisonment
cast-
is also
imprisonment,
5 years, I think the maximum, if I remember correctly, but doesn't exceed 10 years or even 7.
Okay, so let's say 2 years, 3
Yes.
years, 5 years. As somebody who has been handling for SCN prosecution of counterfeit cases, what is your experience? Is it easy to investigate and prosecute these cases? Is it easy to get convictions? What is your experience?
My experience has been, I would say it has been a learning curve for me as a lawyer. One, it's not as easy at all as it seems like in other criminal cases. Over theft, we are going to get the person, these are the ingredients, we are going to produce our evidence and prosecute the man. Usually in counterfeit offenses, even getting the file sanctioned alone has been a challenge, because you present the evidence. and
Before
then
you go to sanctioning the file, collecting the
Collecting the
evidence,
evidence.
how do you get the culprit? What is the process?
Usually one of the investigators goes out, or we receive a complaint and then we go and investigate that complaint. Usually someone has bought, I would give an example of agricultural
Pesticides, herbicides.
chemical inputs. And the person bought them, took them to their garden, they don't work, then they come back and complain to the brand owner, one of the leading agricultural manufacturing brand owners here in Uganda. And then that's when the person comes here and says, well, look, there's this complaint. Then we go out with our investigators, but also in collaboration with the police, look at the exhibits. We then collect
How
that
do you
information.
identify? How do you identify? Remember you said differentiation.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that this thing that you're arresting somebody for is a counterfeit?
Well, you have to go with someone, an expert who knows this product, and usually a brand owner
To
comes
identify.
on board, yeah, with their specialists to identify these differences. Usually you cannot tell with your naked eye, but a technical person from there can easily tell. So go
Haven't
with
you
that
had
person.
cases where the culprit you arrest says, no, for me this is genuine?
Yeah, they all often do that, always.
And how
Say
do you
this is
resolve
genuine.
that issue?
Well, most times, once this expert has come and they compare, and also there is a report and a technical report, then they would look at the differences. But also, still, this is not sufficient. Most times, the state will tell you this is not
The state
sufficient.
attorney.
From the state attorney will tell you this is not sufficient. I want you to go into the details and look at the contents of these things and see whether there are actually differences. But then that also causes some challenges.
But
here
I
and
thought
there.
counterfeiting is about the label, not the content.
If In that particular circumstance, we're talking about counterfeiting of a trademark, and this trademark is on
the outside,
on the outside of the product. But then that's where the knowledge gap that we've been talking about comes in. You're telling the person this is it, and these are the ingredients of this offense. This is what we need to prove, and that's what we are doing. But then they are pushing back. So that's one of the challenges. So
tell the viewers, in the cases of counterfeiting of a trademark, do you need to prove that a trademark has been faked, or you need to prove the contents are fake?
You need to prove that the trademark has been faked, which is usually often on top. That is the trademark.
If the brand owner comes and says, this label, they have forged my label. So at what stage do you then go into the contents? What kind of case would that be? Would it be a standards case? Would it be?
I think if we are talking about the standards, that these contents are not meeting the required standards as registered, say at UNBS or at Ministry of Agriculture, then that's when I think we'll go into those cases.
Those details. Now tell us.
The other challenge was that you'd come prosecuting under the Trademarks Act, and then they tell you, but look, there is also another law. You're in agricultural inputs. Why don't you go for the Agricultural Chemicals Control Act and prosecute the person there? But for me, I'm saying I have come, this person has forged the trademark. I want redress on this.
Because the Agricultural Chemical Control Act deals with adulteration and dealing with substandard agricultural chemicals, not trademark infringement. Okay, so, and you've done the investigation, you bring the guy to the police. Tell us your experience with the police in investigating and handling counterfeit cases. Do they support? Are there challenges?
The police has been supportive in this regard, but then it's also eager. The people are also the people there are eager to learn and understand this menace that is growing all the time, because it's not, usually they're going to interact with these cases because it's an evolving crime, so they're also willing to learn and understand. That's the good thing that I observe.
Haven't you got cases where sometimes you are frustrated by the police?
Not necessarily.
They have processed the files, they understand the charges, and
at some point, I wouldn't say it has been a great challenge, but as a lawyer, then that's when you rise up and also tell them, look, these are the charges, draft the charge sheet this way, direct them and guide them, because you're on the same side and you want to see that this criminal is brought to book. And they often do what you've guided them to do, and also with the state support.
How do you secure the exhibits? Because in a lot of these criminal trials, exhibits get lost.
They do, but also we support. We go down there too with the police person, the person who is going to recover those exhibits, and we ensure one thing that we've done, try to do, is to maintain that chain of evidence, because once it is broken, and then you have no case.
How do you maintain it? Like, you get the thing, put it in the, register it in the book, seal it. And how is the handling?
That officer who recovered the exhibits will go with them to the police station, still record on the exhibit slip. There's a paper that they record on, and then after that you keep them in the store. And after they are kept in the store, that person specifically will have to produce them in court that time once
the investigating officer.
Yes, the investigating officer. But also now things have changed, that now these counterfeit offenses are being prosecuted or taken over by the URSB,
Uganda Registration Services
Bureau, to prosecute these cases. Yes.
So you mentioned earlier on that you've been getting challenges to sanction charges. Why?
One, I would say the state attorneys have not yet appreciated or fully appreciated what counterfeiting is. And if you come and you're telling them these are the elements, they're telling you no. I want a report from the government analytical laboratory that is telling me the differences between this and this, because for us we are not seeing it. Or even if we have a technical report from the trademarks office, they're
confirming that this is the trademark and this is a copy of it, so you take to the judge to decide. They are going for the contents.
Yeah. But then it also produces an opportunity for us to educate them, to tell them that, look, this is not it. This is what it's supposed to be. So I think that's where we need to focus
And
our efforts.
during your tenure, the 3 years at SCN, have you seen an increase in the number of cases prosecuted? How many have you facilitated to prosecute?
I think there have been...
When you came, how many were they, and how many now?
When I came, were they 3? Yes, 3 around. Then we brought on board, I think there were 8, but successfully I closed to its logical conclusion. There were still 3 cases. 3?
Yeah, I'm
2.
saying the number of cases, did they increase?
Yeah,
I think
they
you
did.
had 20 or 30 cases
They did increase.
in the courts.
Yes, they did increase.
And the convictions, have you succeeded?
So far, I've successfully succeeded in 1. Actually, when I just started out, and
You got a conviction?
yeah, I got a conviction. 1
20
year,
years in jail?
1 year imprisonment. So that
Oh.
was a great achievement, something that I'm really proud of. That
1
also
year
kept me
imprisonment.
pushing. Yes.
For what offense?
It was falsely applying a registered trademark and also
Counterfeiting a
counterfeiting a
trademark.
trademark. Yes.
And where is
Under the
this?
Trademark
Where,
Act.
this looks little, 1 year. Give us context. Why is 1 year important? Was this the first?
There have been several convictions in the courts, in the utilities court, but mostly what has been happening is they are given a fine. Actually, I also had another conviction where the person was given a fine
Of how much?
760,000 shillings.
For counterfeiting
for
of goods of
counterfeiting
how
of
much?
goods. Actually worth millions of shillings. And then the person just went back and went on with his business. So getting this conviction of 1 year imprisonment actually really sent a message out there to the counterfeiters that we shall come for you, we shall prosecute you, and you will go to jail. So that was...
But Gloria, in the project we did with USAID on counterfeits in agriculture, we had an interaction, we had a training for the magistrates. Do you feel the judiciary, the judicial arm has appreciated the gravity of this offense, or they are still treating it as a minor offense?
I think
Can they do more?
They definitely can do more, but that training was one of the many that need to be undertaken by SCN. This was opening the judicial officers' minds, and actually you saw the feedback that we received that time. The magistrates were really appreciative, they got involved, others came out and spoke to us about more interactions. But then if you've had it this time and then we sort of do other things, then we need to keep on educating them. Mindset change does not just happen overnight. So you have to keep on reminding them, and then that way we can realize our goal. But it was a really great opportunity for us to interact with the bench, and it kick-started the conversation for us and the magistrates.
So, according to you, there is a future, a counterfeit-free future, or should we give up? This problem is too big.
We cannot give up. We are in too deep, and we are walking towards that counterfeit-free future. So the steps that SCN is Anti-Counterfeit Network Africa is taking right now, we cannot stop now. We cannot.
In the next episode, we shall talk about the new law. I know you've also been involved in it, but there was an old anti-counterfeit goods bill, which was scrapped, and now there's a new bill. Some people complained, why did you remove the law? But you had a chance to review this law. Can you just share what were some of the gaps in the old law and to explain why it had to go away? The anti-counterfeit goods bill, 2015.
Yeah. That 2015 bill it gave a very narrow definition of what counterfeiting is. Just said counterfeiting, faking the goods without the authority of the owner. but then it didn't go into depth of what this animal of called counterfeiting actually is. And through my interaction, I've gotten to realize you can manufacture, you can package, you can relabel, you can do all these things. And any of those
For
things
it was dealing with what? The manufacture only, I think.
Yeah. And if you only deal with that aspect, then the counterfeiter will come and say, but I was doing this, which is not counterfeiting in the law. And the other issue was that it just gave a lot of powers to the police officers and the brand owners to go out and search and seize the counterfeiting goods and do a lot of things, but without giving a specific authority to an agency or agencies to implement the act. So
it was giving power to the police to seize and take custody, and yet the police had challenges with storage, even of housing of its own officers.
Then where are you going to keep the exhibits?
And taking away powers from customs and so on.
So I think with those gaps it had to be withdrawn, and then a new one had to be drafted.
Okay, we're going to talk the last bit as we wind up on the new law, and then we have your conclusion. Let's take a break. This is the third and last segment of the League of the Genuine, the only show on the planet where we discuss counterfeits. We are here with Gloria Nagami, a lawyer. Gloria, we ended by saying we're now going to talk about the new bill. There's a new law coming. Before you tell us about the law, there's a thinking that, look, you guys are hyping the law too much, but the law per se can never stop this menace of counterfeits. For example, counterfeiting of money. In the US, the $20 bill is the most counterfeited. The US is the most powerful economy. It has all, but within the US, they counterfeit the $20 bill. Outside the US, they are counterfeiting the $100 bill. So some people may say, look, law can only do so much. It is overrated. We need to look for other solutions. Law cannot stop counterfeiting. Comment on that before we go into the new bill.
I think as a lawyer, I would say the law is the starting point for us to fight counterfeits. Once you have a framework that Parliament has passed and it's giving you rights and obligations and also duties in there, I think that's where you start and go and enforce against counterfeits. But you also have to do it in conjunction with different things. Communicate and change the mindset of the people. Even if the law is there, and then people are also there in their own
Don't you
work.
think having the law is one thing and implementing it is another?
Not necessarily.
Don't you think that maybe there's a weakness? You can make beautiful laws, but if you're not going to implement them, if you're not going to enforce them, because in the US Customs, I was reading a report, and it says that counterfeits globally grow by 1,000% every 10 years. That's 100% every year. And then we have laws and laws and laws upon laws.
The laws can exist, but also we need those strong agencies. We need to strengthen the different agencies. Or if there is one that is created in that law, then it also needs to be empowered still with the resources. We need still political
goodwill.
Yeah, political goodwill from the different entities and our leaders. We also need support from the civil society and the private sectors.
And the consumer organizations.
Manufacturers,
because we're the ones
everyone.
buying the creams for our skins and all these things.
All stakeholders must be brought on board to actually implement this law and enforce it.
Okay, now take us to the anti-counterfeit goods bill. I know the anti-counterfeit network, we are involved in supporting this. It's a huge milestone. Give us some highlights on this bill.
So first of all, I would actually applaud the MP, Honorable MP, for pushing for this bill.
Honorable Saliba.
Honorable Asman Basaliwa for bringing this bill back to the forefront where we can talk about it. And this anti-counterfeiting goods bill is for 2023.
Yes.
Yes, and it's actually now addressing
Private members
It's
bill.
a private members bill. Yes.
So meaning the government is not interested. Why would a private member have to bring the bill?
The government is interested, but also I would think that an MP who is really interested in the protecting his constituents and other individuals coming on board shows also that this he's ready and willing to join.
He has a right to bring a bill. Yes.
So it's filling in those gaps that we had highlighted earlier before, a broader definition of counterfeiting, to also include confusion. Likely, if you produce your goods, manufacture and do all these things with the hope or likely to deceive and confuse people.
So you're saying we have a broader definition of counterfeits under the bill.
Yes.
How broad? What does it involve now?
It involves if you manufacture.
You have a copy here.
Yeah.
What does it say?
The manufacturing,
Producing, packaging, repackaging, labeling, making, whether in Uganda or outside, any goods by which those protected goods are imitated. So he's talking about imitation in such a manner as to make those goods identical or substantially similar. So this is the confusion you're talking about.
That if you try to deceive anyone that your goods are those of an individual who is actually registered and protected, whereas not, then you're counterfeiting. Or do it in the hope to confuse any individual, you're counterfeiting. Then it goes ahead to...
And it is talking about manufacturing, producing, selling. What about buying? If somebody buys a counterfeit goods, aren't they aiding and abetting the commission of that offense? Isn't it? Does this bill, in your view, stop the buying?
It does not stop the buying. It actually does not make it an offense or provide for it. But I would not fault the bill for doing that. Because it would go back to our previous conversation about these people not knowing. And if
the depreciation thing.
Yeah, the depreciation bit.
But Gloria, ignorance of the law is no defense. You go and buy fake Omo, and then they catch you. They catch the guy selling, and they catch you in the shop buying.
I would not blame the person buying. I would actually put the blame on the brand owners who are letting these counterfeiters roam free and counterfeit their goods.
No, but the Omo will tell you that, look, for me, I manufacture my product here, I put a batch number, I have my distributor, Mr. X, and I distribute. I'm not the one who manufactured the fake.
I would also think that it would not be productive, or it would be counterintuitive for us to blame the consumer and then at the same time you want them to come and report on behalf of whoever once they have encountered a counterfeit. In this law, you're going to put an obligation on them. And
but
then
if we don't put the obligation on the consumer, because if I am not going to be sanctioned if I'm so careless not to take care to make sure I buy from a legit source. You remember you changed your supplier and then your skin got broke out. So you have some fault as a consumer because sometimes you knowingly buy the fake. And we are saying, since as lawyers we know that there are offenses like receiving and retaining stolen property. If somebody comes and gives you stolen property and the police catches you, you cannot say that, you know what, me I didn't know. It is stolen property.
But that is a bit different compared to what we are dealing with in counterfeiting. Though the principles may apply in the different criminal offenses, but the way that we need to deal with these counterfeits, we need some people on our side, the stakeholders, the consumers, and also as we empower them, you're also implementing the law on the other side against consumers. I think that's my proposal on how to go about this act.
I'm thinking that to promote self-regulation, we need to put some responsibility on we the consumers, because we are the ones encouraging counterfeits to come on the market, because we provide a market for them. So I am saying, if every consumer is warned that if we do a raid, in a supermarket where there are counterfeits. In the raid, actually I've seen it in China and in other countries. They go to a store or a manufacturing outfit and they grab the counterfeiter who is manufacturing. Whoever they find there buying
It's taken along.
is also taken along.
So much thought needs to go into it, basing on also our context here in Uganda and the way the law should be made to implemented for the people here. So as we still look into the bill, great thought has to also be put into
Yes,
that
you saw
we
that
need to look
there was a recent report, the biggest, I think I saw it on the international news, in New York, I think, or Washington. The customs and the police bust a big racket and they captured, seized goods worth $1 billion, fake designer products and so on. But if you look at the people who were taken, if anybody had come to to buy, they are also taken. Because I think we need to flash a light on ourselves, we as the consumers. For heaven's sake, there is no way a counterfeit product will be on the market unless we buy it. Nobody will bring it. So I think we are babysitting ourselves so much, and yet we are the ones who suffer. You suffered, you lost 2 million shillings because of your skin. You don't know the health effects, God forbid, that you'll suffer because of this. There are other people who suffer fatalities, maybe who lose even their life. So I think we need, and how
instead of putting it in the law, I think we could do a lot more. As we open this this session talking about law not acting alone or it not being enough. So these other things that we, instead of putting consumers on the point, we look at them and advocate.
No, put consumers on point together with the brand and together with the regulators. You act.
I would think that we regulators, the brand owners, and push the other side to advocate on the side of consumers, but not put and create an offense on them. That's how I would go about it, but still we need to think about it as we go into drafting this bill.
Because we are going to go for Christmas, Gloria.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you a lot of counterfeits are going to be sold to many, I agree with you, many unsuspecting consumers. But there are those who are also going to look for the fakes, who will avoid the genuine, saying, okay, it's expensive, and they go and look for the other version. This new law,
Yeah.
you are satisfied with the punishments?
They're okay.
How many years? How many years do
Just,
they, how different is it? Is it still going to be the fine? Because you are complaining about the old law, somebody paid 700,000.
Yeah, we have still 5 years, but also the fine has been increased 5 times more.
5 years for what offense?
Any offense that you commit. So if in the course of your trade you manufacture or you produce any counterfeit goods, then you commit an offense.
And it's 5
the
years.
fine is 5 years or more.
And the fine?
And the fine is not exceeding 5 times the market value of that good.
The fine is not exceeding 5 times.
5 times the market value.
And this fine goes to who? The product owner, goes to government,
This
goes
fine
to the
goes to the government. But also
goes to the government.
let me just
If they counterfeit my goods and the counterfeiter is caught and they pay fine to the government, not to me, because we need them to be motivated. But the good thing, this is just a bill.
Yeah, it is a bill, but also
It's
the
a draft.
fines. The fines are 50% to you, the owner of the license, or the owner of the protected good, and then 5% goes to the government.
But the trademark is my
To
private
the
property.
consolidated fund.
The trademark is my private property. It's me who invested in it. The government licenses me, yes. Why would the government take money?
Usually, I think in the offenses that we have, all these fines are paid to the state. So
For the criminal-
for the criminal offenses. Still, this is a criminal offense, so the fines should be paid to the state. But also now that it's realizing, in this bill specifically, you also have rights that are infringed upon. So you could get.
And maybe what you're
here.
saying as well, me as the trademark owner, I can get civil damages.
Yeah.
I can sue for the damages, for the lost profits, and so on. So we are going to go into a process of public consultations on the bill. Why do you think this is important?
First of all, the public consultations will involve all the different stakeholders or anyone who is affected. So I think that even the brand owners, everyone's voice needs to be heard on this bill.
To contribute and give
to
views.
the bill. And also from the different stakeholder engagements we've been having, the dialogues we've been having with the different sectors, everyone needs to come and contribute, because a lot of issues were raised in the building and construction industry, in agriculture, and then in health, electronics. Everyone needs to become and heard, because they suffer unique challenges in counterfeiting in their sectors. And also private players need to be heard. For example, ACN, someone who has placed themselves as an expert in this area, you come and contribute to
even the women.
Yeah,
for example,
women,
you are telling me that a lot of the hair you people are wearing is fake.
It is.
You call them what? Extensions.
They are extensions, they are weaves, they are wigs.
And there are a lot of fakes there. So even the salon people should come and contribute to the bill.
Anyone who is affected and actually can contribute to the bill should do so. That's what I would say about the issue.
But I think women most especially need to be mobilized, because a lot of your products, as you've said, are fake. From the serum, the pins, everything. You probably are the biggest gender that is affected by counterfeits. Women.
I agree with you, because then also aspects of the way they earn also will contribute to what they purchase and how, and whether also their level of education, whether they actually know what they are going out to do. Even if we reach out to them, several people are reaching out to them, do they really understand the implications of this? So I agree with you that women need to really be engaged.
The other group that needs to be engaged are the youth.
Yes. Since
you are a youth, you are going to get out soon, but you're still a youth. The youth are lost. They are living imaginary lives. Their reality is different. Social media has actually complicated things. The role of social media in promoting or fighting counterfeits. What is the role of social media?
Social media is playing a great role actually, either fueling counterfeits, because the youth want to also look like the people that they are seeing online. I aspire to look like or dress a certain way, according to what I saw my friend dressing. Probably they bought the thing in a genuine shop somewhere while traveling or wherever, but was genuine. But then I also want to look like them, so I would go downtown. I don't say that everything downtown is fake, but I would go there and find a cheaper thing, probably.
They say fake it until you make it.
Until you make it, yes. So that I also look like them and I also post online.
So is social media, TikTok, on which socials are you?
Instagram and Snapchat.
All of them. I've been hearing people saying TikTok should be banned. I don't know, it's promoting this. So is social media a voice for the good, a voice for the bad in this fight against counterfeits?
It could be used either way, depending on how you best place yourself. So if you also strategically say that I'm going to use social media to spread this information about counterfeits and anti-counterfeiting, then it's also good. But then also these fake people are also online, putting their products online for people to buy. There are also fake news, as we keep on saying, online, and it will be upon that person who is consuming the news to actually see for themselves and see whether what.
So we need to harness the power of social media to turn it into a positive force. Gloria, we thank you so much, but we would like you to say bye to the audience, your last words.
One thing I would say is that we need to strengthen our fight against counterfeiting. We need to come together as different stakeholders, and also call upon the youth and the women to join this cause, because we are greatly affected by this menace, and also participate, because public consultations are coming up soon. Once you're called upon, please come and participate.
In respect of the new law.
In respect of the new law, yes. Please come and participate in this and give your views and see how we can push for a better law to serve us.
Okay, thank you so much, Gloria. It has been a pleasure to host you, and I hope that you, our viewers, you have been able to learn a thing or two in our continuing programming about the menace of counterfeits. If you're new here, this is the League of the Genuine, the only show on the planet where we discuss the important but often ignored subject of counterfeits. If you like what you are seeing, please do support us by subscribing, do share, and give us a thumbs up. It motivates us to keep going, and please put the notification to be informed about the next interesting program. As always, don't be fake, buy and sell genuine.